watching us virtually. Thank you for your time. There's something about a Nigerian who takes time out to watch you virtually. You must give it to that Nigerian. We know how costly data is, and that is why this event will not stretch beyond what you expect. We'll be quick with it. We have our panelists all set up, and as I did say, we have something big that we'll be unveiling that will interest you. So, and I'll try as much as possible for that to come up quickly before our panel session, so that once the conversation starts, you can bask in the euphoria of that special thing that will be unveiled very soon. But at this point in time, join me as a welcome my brother and my friend to give us the welcome remarks, Lanre Adisa.
Good morning, everyone, in this hall, and especially those of us who are watching from the virtual platforms. Today, and I think before we even go on, we should wish ourselves a happy Democracy Day, because we can still celebrate something called democracy. So please, Nigeria deserves that. Happy Democracy Day. The truth is that today we are all making history. We are all witnesses to history. It's the first time in our history, 22 years of democracy coming back, that we are celebrating Democracy Day on June 12. That was a day at some point that people would rather not talk about at the center. But it's always been part of us. Now it's taking the center stage. And that's why it's interesting that today we're talking about this thing called democracy. And I'll just go back a little bit in time. For me, when I think about democracy and think about where we are, what we're doing today, I could never have thought about this. And I think I say the same for Kola here, MKO. I think back to the events leading to June 12, 1993. I think back to JAWS, the JAWS Convention. I think back to going to Kaduna and having to listen to General Yaradua, late Yaradua. And interestingly, we're here today in the Yaradua Center. Who could have thought? We're talking about democracy in Nigeria. But let's come back to why we're here. The idea of Tribe Niger that we see behind us, which we'll talk more about, started from when we got back to democracy as we know it. But in serious terms, 10 years ago, I had to go and search my inbox that we started talking about Tribe Niger as an entity with a name, with a logo, and it's 10 years ago in the making. And it kept evolving from Tribe Nigeria. That was where we started from. Now it is Tribe Niger for a reason, because things were changing in Nigeria as well. We realized that the demography that we need to talk to actually are more of the younger people who, if you remember very well, when President Jonathan made an attempt to change the name of UNILAG to MKO Abiola University, there was an uproar because they are not in touch with that history, and you can't blame them. So it is our task to bring everybody on board with a conversation platform, which we'll talk about eventually. So that was why we evolved from Tribe Nigeria to Tribe Niger, and there'll be more about that going forward. But more importantly for us is the need for us to have people here today to continue the conversation about this country. Democracy is work in progress. I believe we all know that. And it's better to have more democracy than to think of anything as an alternative. And it's something that we all are part of, and I'm glad to be part of this today. And like I said earlier, we are all witnesses to history, and that history, I believe, will take our country forward. So it is my joy and pleasure to welcome all of us to this activity. It's the first step in that journey, the journey to really redefining what democracy is for the benefit of the common good of everybody in this country, as it were. So we will have more things going on. I'll leave it to Suleiman to direct us from this point on, but take it that this is the first step, and that history will be in our best interest as a nation. Once again, happy Democracy Day, everybody.
Thank you very much, Larry. I'm overwhelmed. I'll tell you why. I just got a sense of the amount of people that are logged on to this event via Zoom. It is a record we're breaking. For those who can log on, you can check and you see the amount of people who have been able to log on. And we must say congratulations to every Nigerian and non-Nigerian who is up there watching what we're doing at this point in time. For the reminder Larry gave to us, it's quite instructive. I was actually not going to say that yet, but he's already said that some of the key personalities that have actually defined this moment that we are in have their own, there's something about generation, and for every African is something we look forward to. It gives us pleasure when we see, for instance, outside Nigeria, we see the Bush family. And let's quickly come back to Africa. If there's anything that interests me on the continent, it is Kenya. To see that Jomo Kenyatta has a son today as president, and even the man who was the prime minister then, his own son also came on the saddle again, Raila Odinga. And that's to tell you that for every Nigerian, for every African, you have the potential to aspire, irrespective of whether your father or your mother is alive at that point in time. But again, in history, we're also excited to know that in all of the democracy events, Democracy Day events we have across the world, someone has chosen to honor us with his presence, with his time, with his resources, and that's MKO Abiola. A round of applause for him. He's right here with us, and I'm happy that he's here. So talking about generation and people that, once upon a time, as a news person, you can only get to meet these people when you have the rare privilege of having a conversation with them in your studio, or you get to watch clips of them. It is interesting to note that some of these great Nigerians, they have left for the world their own, footprints, sometimes in their children, sometimes in their mentees, sometimes in their prodigies, sometimes in far, far away people who are very much, influenced by them. Today, I'm happy, I'm excited. In a very long time, we have seen him do his own art. And, this next Nigerian I want to invite tells us one thing. You can be jack of all trade, and you can be master of all. There are so many statements we have seen, and, they tell you A and B, and you take it hook, line, and sinker. And some of these statements, if you look at them critically sometimes and even deeply, you realize that, some of them are actually false. You can be good, and irrespective of what you are doing at the moment, you can actually be a master. Today we have seen him be a master in Taekwondo. We've also seen him a master of words, poetry, spoken words. Today will not be complete without us having these great minds, like him, join us on a conversation like this before we dig in deep to start talking. By the way, I did say I'll let you in on what exactly is happening. For those who can't join us via Zoom, because I understand the traffic is overwhelming at the moment, you can get on to watch us live via social media on Instagram and Facebook. The same ID, Tribe Naija, Naijang. And of course, you can search for YouTube. If I were you, I understand the IG and the Facebook is loading pretty fast because I've been looking at comments. So why don't you join IG and Facebook for those who can be on Zoom and be a part of this conversation. Also keep in mind, we have someone who's also collating messages. Your questions will come as the conversation starts in earnest. And Key amongst those that will be joining us later on, Abdulmumin Yinka Ajia, and of course Hamzat Lawal, Cynthia Mbamalu will be here live, and virtually we'll have Sandra Ezekwesili, and of course Dr. Idayat Hassan. Andrew Oboforibo will also join us virtually. So it's a conversation that will start here and it will continue somewhere. That's where I said we have something special that will be coming your way. So ladies and gentlemen, friends, and everyone watching us from across the world, join us as we welcome our brother and our friend, DK Chukwumerije.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'll go straight to my presentation. I'm not very good with Every time I ask, people tell me Nigeria became independent in 1960. And furthermore, to show she was truly free, she became a republic in 63, meaning the Queen was no longer head of state, meaning that we were now masters of our fate, meaning that power over Nigerians could now only be held by a Nigerian. It was why we sang through the night, why we lit fires that burned through the night, why we chose a flag colored in freedom, for now we would be kings in this, our kingdom. But our first head of state was Igbo. And the next, though a soldier, also Igbo. Then Angas ruled, followed by Hausa, and then came the turn of Yoruba. Then Hausa came back for a term cut short when power was taken by an Hausa gunshot. Then Gwari claimed his turn to rule, but a mandate stolen was his downfall. Then Kanuri came, and it's quite probable that he'll still be ruling, if not for that apple. Then Yoruba returned not once, but twice. Then Hausa returned, but died in peace. Then they left us a while to worry and wonder, and when it was over, Ijo had power. And after him came that titanic shift, and now we can see that Hausa is back. Leaving me with this troublesome thought, where in all this is my own president? For where I was born is not where I'm from. And where I'm from is not my home. So when the tribes gather, I often wonder, who will I fight when you're both my brothers? Nobody asked when we were children, before we play, are you a Muslim? We shared a space that nobody claimed, but now you ask me to choose a side. Nobody asked when we were students whether North and South could share a desk, whether East and West could study together, but now you tell me that I'm a stranger. Stranger, yes, to these ways of thinking. Thinking that tribe is everything. The Niger and Benue, they meet in my hand. I'm not an indigene, but this is my land. And this is my language, I speak nothing else. My home is here, I have nothing else. My tribe is my nation, I am nothing else, and this is my country, I have nowhere else. So though people are quick to assure me, to tell me this country I live in is free, deep in my heart, I know that freedom, my freedom, is yet to come. When no one will question my origin, when no one will call me a non-indigene, when no one will kill me because of my faith, when no one will cheat me because of my state, when my state will be wherever I live and will change whenever I choose to move, the day I find not a Nigerian president, but that a Nigerian is finally president. And while the flag of ethnicity still flutters over this land of two shining rivers, and the tribes take their turn to misgovern my country, I look to the future, for I'm not yet free. Thank you very much.
Can we keep clapping, please? Thank you very much, GK. Thank you very much. It goes beyond poetry. It is a reminder. It is deep. It is thought-provoking. It is something that we all must think about. DK, just recently I said to someone, I said, I'm Muslim. And for those who know me, you can easily ask, where are your Muslim friends? Almost everyone around me is a Christian. And from where I'm from, I don't think I have anyone who is my friend in Lagos, from where I'm from. So everyone is a non-native of where I'm from originally. So what he's just told us is something that we must all go back. And I keep saying something about the press. Sometimes I might be a bigot, but when the mics and the cameras are there, I say, no, let there be peace. No, we're all together. So when the lights, cameras are out, I tell them, look, if they strike you, strike them back. Who the hell are they? What nonsense. They are unbelievers, they are infidels. And the other one tells you, look, this is not the era of Christ. They hit you, hit them back 2 times. They haven't done too much. How do you know that that is what happens when the cameras are not there? It's because there's no stoppage to the carnage. So when we come out and we hug ourselves, we drink coffee, we say, Assalamu alaikum, praise the Lord, everything is okay. When they go back, who tells them to continue the fight? So we must keep asking that question, or those questions he's raised. We must ask ourselves, what if my mother wasn't a Muslim and I was born a Christian? Would I be thinking differently? What if I was born a Kenyan? What if you were born a Zimbabwean? So these are some of the key things. First, a human. Second, a Nigerian. There's no third about anything. And that is one thing I took out of what you just said. Thank you very much. A round of applause for him again. You know, it goes deeper because it is these are the things that we sow in the minds of our children. And you see how children, they can be very playful. No child is born a racist. No child is born a tribalist. As they're in school, they all play, they're all friendly. It is only when a man starts telling the child, what are you looking for in that man's house? If I see you there again, the child starts thinking, what exactly is wrong with me going to Mr. A's house or B coming to my house? And that is why you see children don't lie. If you tell the child, tell them I'm sleeping, the child will say, my daddy said I should tell you that he's sleeping. And if you tell the child, don't go there again, the child will come one day and say, my daddy said I should not come to your house again. They don't lie. So we start teaching them how to lie. Are you mad? Why did you tell them that I said you don't say it like that again? So you start inputting things. So we're hoping that we'll be able to raise a better future, a better generation that will outlive us. Whether we like it or not, we need to put in place something that will outlive us. When there's no Sulaiman Alede here, there's no Kola Abiola here, there's nobody here, those that will come after us should be able to say something about us in glowing terms, things glowing because their future was not destroyed because of what we left behind. And they too will have something to build on. As they always say with our constitution, they say you cannot build on nothing. So we must be able to leave something so that people can build on something. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, because that is what we are. If anyone tells us anything quite differently, it's amazing. Now let's also make it look so funny. Have you ever noticed how people grow up as teens and they start, having these feelings for opposite sex sometimes? They don't even think of where the person is from. It is when they start growing up, they say, no, you must marry from your tribe. Eh? Who? No, you must bring someone from that faith. Even when you're of the same religion, they'll tell you, no, you must bring someone from the same sect. So it's getting crazy, and we must protect our world. We must protect our future. And that is why, again, I said, this conversation will bequeath to us something that we'll be very, very happy about, something that will interest us. You notice how sometimes, lastly here, before I take on the next one, how you be in a social media group, for instance, a WhatsApp group. Your friends for a bit will be, oblivious that you're there. And you see how sometimes they insult your own ethnic people. Then one of them will now call the other one. Someone has called him or her behind. Kola is there, or you are insulting Yoruba people. They do not come. That's not what I mean. Nobody has said anything. Or someone just all these Christians, all these Muslims, and someone will not call them, Sula is there. I say, well, anyway, Sula is a different Muslim. No. Because you have a mindset. So we'll try as much as possible to see how we can get a community of people, irrespective of what their thoughts are, will be able to forge ahead and forge a better course. Once again, this is a beautiful moment we're having here on Democracy Day, June 12, 2021, right here at the Yaradua Center in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. The Advocacy for One Nigeria initiative has given us a platform, virtually and physically, and that is what we're doing today. At this point in time, join us as we invite someone who was also in the thick of things as a young Nigerian who's gone round. Someone personally I was privileged to speak with in 2018 when Nigeria's president honored Chief MKO Abiola, when Nigeria's president made it possible for us to have a national holiday on June 12 and not just a Southwest event. Join us as we welcome our big brother, our friend, our father, someone that many people are excited today here that he is here physically, Kola Abiola. Thank you very much.
I want to start by thanking everybody here present today. I want to also thank everybody online presently from wherever you are. Welcome to Tribe Nigeria, or Tribe Niger as it is called today. Today is an emotional day for me in many ways. And I want to give honor to my late dad, Chief Bashir MKO Abiola, GCFR. General Shehu Musa Yaradua, GCON, and many more that have passed today, all in the name of democracy. So please, if you can give me 2 minutes, please stand and say a silent prayer for their souls and many of the other souls that I've lost, from Kanifawa Imi to Kudirat, even my late mom in the little role she played while she was still alive for this. So please, 2 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. There's a lot to be said about today. And there's a lot that, despite being 2021, and despite being a lot wiser from 1998, 1993, 1991, 2, 3, actually, and 4. And a lot of what I'm going to say hasn't been scripted. I woke up this morning, I have this mix, what I call the Tribe Niger mix. I couldn't get a lot of sleep, so I decided to play that track that playlist over and over again. And in playing it, it occurred to me that, look, Kola, what you feel cannot be scripted. What you feel has to just come straight from within you to the audience. So I took that speech, I ripped it off, had a shower, said my Subuhi prayers, and then it just occurred to me that, you know what, you've been there before. Whatever it is being felt in Nigeria, you've been there before. You just haven't been there, you've actually felt and lived through it. Now, what am I talking about here? I hear a lot of sentiments, I hear a lot of protests, a lot of the younger ones complain about the country in which we are today. I hear a lot of groups trying to tear the whole country apart. But for God's sake, I don't know any other country. I don't know any other country. I've been flying, traveling, driving around Nigeria since 1978. I've been to every corner in Nigeria, by road or by air. Right? I feel at home anywhere in Nigeria. All I have to just step in there. I can walk the streets anywhere in Nigeria and be safe. So why would we want to see it any different? Why would we want to come and start watching our neighbors? Why? Because we have different tribal marks, different tribal languages, we pray differently. Even the Shango man is praying to somebody. At that point, I felt, you know what, Kola, you need to do something about this. And I've always had it in my mind long time ago. The initial thing started 12 years back. 10 years, 2 years after that, I sat with a group of people and said, you know what, we need to set up something that identifies us as first Nigerian. Not by our tongue, not by religion, not even dialect within languages, but first and foremost Nigerian. And that's why the whole thing called Tribe Nigeria first, and now Tribe Niger was born. The app itself has been in development for the past 2.5 years. And its purpose is to bring us together. And we changed it from Tribe Nigeria to Tribe Niger for a reason. I noticed that the younger ones, my kids, their friends, their group, that demographic, is beginning to try to live outside of Nigeria by calling themselves Niger. Everything's about Niger. They had this ecosystem, this little bubble that they felt if they lived it as Niger, they're outside Nigeria. You cannot be outside Nigeria and you say you're Niger. You still have to relate with Nigeria. We're not all going to be lucky to have somebody a hedge fund come in and buy my business for 200 million. Even when they do, you still have to deal with the larger Nigeria. That's one thing. So I felt that I should find a platform to bring that voice together. And what this platform will do when it's introduced is to create an opportunity for us to discuss round and chat round the issues, not to each other. We all know what the issues are. We don't want to be sentimental. We can't be sentimental about it because we know what the problems are. But we need to, in many ways, be able to talk to each other and find common thread amongst us. And I'm hoping that this platform will do that. First and foremost, if we use that to bring us under one umbrella, then we can begin to discuss what we do with this group and our better understandings of each other for a better country, Nigeria. And that is where I'm going with this. Now, I've had, and I feel the younger ones a lot because at a tender age, I was just fresh out of secondary school, 79, when I went campaigning with my father, NPN. Come 1992, under SDP, I didn't just go around with him. I actually was in the driver's seat of that whole campaign. So I saw it live. The strategy, the planning, the execution, I was fully part of that. Anybody out there today, no matter how old they are, know my little caller then did play a substantial role in creating this day, June 12th. Now, how would I, after all that, at that tender age, you make success of it by actually delivering a Muslim ticket voted for across the length and breadth of Nigeria. Voted for, irrespective of a profession, whether you're military, doctor, civilian, king, chief, OB, name, everybody voted for that election. You make a success of something, and it's overnight annulled and taken away from you. You can begin to see the kind of disappointment I felt at that time. Now, exactly what people today feel about their country. I've felt it 28 years ago. But I never let it go. Why? Because I feel I made some mistakes then. Naive in age, I made some mistakes then. And the one fundamental mistake I made was not to have a post-election strategy. I was so naive enough to plan what I thought was the best strategy in the world to execute this thing, purely out of devoid of sentiments. Because if it was sentiments, you would never have a Muslim ticket. I just wanted to win. And I looked at how we can achieve that, and that's what the driving factor was. And you plan what is real, and then it's taken away from you. Exactly how my kids, your kids, their demographic feel today. I went through that to the point that I had to even take off after a while just to cleanse myself of the pain. Just to cleanse myself of the pain. So I know what I'm talking about here. I'm not just, I have been through it. I want to share that experience. I want to share what I felt was that lack of, I don't know, call it naivety at 28, 29. I guess I'm allowed to be naive, I guess. But call it what that is. And let me at least correct that by making sure we never have that happen again in Nigeria. Never. Nobody's votes will ever be taken away again. It took 28 years for the government, and I thank President Buhari for that, to give not just the man a GCFR, MKO, but also to apologize for having robbed us of our votes. It's not just the family apology, but it's enough because the public have actually said thank you to MKO by voting for him, but the system had robbed him of his votes. And it took 28 years to do that. It should never happen again. Nobody should apologize for actually executing your rights. Nobody. Nobody should never do that. And the only way to make that is to make your voices heard. To make your voices heard. Long time ago, the then General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida decided he wanted to have a transition from military to civilian. One man, and that's the significance of this day, and the building in which we are is enormous. And this is what I'm going to try to explain here. Decided, okay, fine, we want to move. I'm an ex-military man myself, but I'm equally ready for democracy. So they all sat together, the Delicos, the general, the late actual president, Umaru Yar'Adua, Ango Abdullahi, Yomi Edu, Primrose Group. All those guys came together and said, okay, we'll form a party called PF then. The system started. When it was time to register those parties, General IBB decided to annul the parties and set up two parties. They said, well, we're Democrats. All we are after is to making sure that this process sees a conclusion. So they all went into SDP then. General took it on himself to put his hat in, along with many. He looked like he was winning across the landscape in states that are not necessarily Hausa Fulani states. In Lagos, for one, amongst others. Halfway through, General IBB calls another national broadcast and announces their election. At that point, we come into the fray. We see to the end. We just did not see to the end. We actually had a truly democratic election, void of violence, and with a spread that was nationwide. And guess what happened again? It was annulled. So we never really have achieved that democracy. So today, we want to have this discussion, this thing called democracy. What do we understand it to be? And the only way we can make it happen is for us to please share our sentiments, share our emotions, and let us work to see our votes count. This platform is supposed to give us time to air out the views. We're going to chat. That's why you don't have follows. You don't have chats. The only chats you're going to be able to have on this platform is chats to do with the issues in Nigeria. The issues in Nigeria. And let us be the ones to come up with solutions ourselves. And that hopefully will allow us to find a thread that brings us together. Yes, the Sokoto man doesn't have the same issues with the Kwara man or the Egba man in Ogun State. No, but there's still something that still ties us together, and that's Nigeria. We have to be able to create that, and we will create that with this platform. Now, for people who are familiar with this building, I will want you to take time to visit the museum back here, the Yar'Adua Museum here. But more importantly, in front of this building here is a bridge, an uncompleted bridge. I have taken it on myself to make sure that bridge is completed. And the only way I can make that bridge completed and that bridge whole is to make sure that your votes count. You come together and see yourselves as brothers. We are a unified country. We will never be the same without being Nigerian. I will make sure that what I'm going to do here is making sure that that bridge is completed. And this is my own little contribution to making it happen. This platform is supposed to make that happen and make sure it is completed. The general was known to extend his hand across regions. That's why they called him the bridge builder. I was lucky enough at a very tender age to learn from the best of them. The very best of them. General Shehu is one. My biggest mentor, my father. Even Babade Dibu in Ibadan. And I can go on and on that list. Alhaji MS Buhari from Borno. And I can go on and on with that list. And what I have learned there is what I'm hoping to use technology to achieve with this platform. So I would want you to please, if you haven't downloaded this, as we speak and as this thing goes, please get your Google Play for Android and your App Store on Apple and begin to download this thing. Let us get this thing started. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kola. A round of applause for him again. You know, while Kola was talking, I think at the point in time, I said, no, don't do this to us. I hope you're not going to cry. No, don't do this because we'll just end this show. Thank you very much for not letting that tear drop because I saw it. And let me also tell Kola one secret. You see this big screen? It was just, I don't know, they just brought it to your eyes and I thought, don't let it drop. But anyway, thank God it didn't drop. But again, you took us down memory lane and it's the kind of life every Nigerian would want. Get a good mentor, get someone, bring someone under your wings. Live a good life. People around you who are good. Study them from afar, study them closely, and trust me, we'll be talking about something good. Kola just navigated, he just sketched around it, and I'm quite sure a lot of people will be asking the question by now, app, what is it saying? He just said something for us to go to the Google Play and iOS. I didn't quite understand what he's saying. We have someone who will give us, a better understanding of what that is because I have just downloaded it and it's fantastic, but I don't think I'm an expert. I'm not expert enough to say anything about what Kola did try to say. Yes, he tried. So we'll get someone who is an expert to take off where Kola left off. But quickly, I would like to also let you know that the conversation will start in earnest. I did say I have my guests here. 3 of them will join me virtually. Sandra Ezekwesili, Idayat Hassan, and of course Andrew Oboforibo. They'll be joining us via Zoom. And of course Abdul Mumin Yinka Ajia, PhD, and Hamzat Lawal, Cynthia Mbamalo, they're all here with us at the Yaradua Center in Abuja. Don't forget that this event is coming to us, courtesy the Advocacy for One Nigeria initiative, and of course Kola Abiola is one of those moving this initiative and bringing it to all Nigerians. I'm looking at messages here, and some of them are saying they can't get access into the Zoom, meeting. Perhaps maybe we have hit the max. If that is what you're going through at the moment, don't you worry. We have the social media live. The handles are for Instagram and Facebook. You have Tribe Niger NG, both of them. So choose one of them, log on, and you'll be there live. And the technical team will let us know if they have actually hit the max, because the messages coming in is that they can't get in. It looks like for the first time in a long while we have been able to hit that. Some are also asking DK Chukwumerije if you have the text of that fine poem or talk about Nigeria. And I think, the Advocacy for One Nigeria should be able to get in and find out if we can get that, and also maybe it will also form a big conversation when you download the app. At this point in time, join us as we dig deep to looking at what this app is about, as we invite to probably have a full demonstration of what this app is. Join us as we welcome Fadi Khatib to come do a demonstration of the app.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It's been a while. I've been on a stage in Nigeria to launch something important. And all right. I'm sorry. Let me welcome everybody here. Let me welcome everybody who's watching us online. I'm used more to have a microphone and walk, so I'm gonna try so my voice doesn't fade away much. Happy Democracy Day for Nigeria. And before I get probably emotional about myself, I'm gonna go a bit technical here. So, yes, this project, I call it project for me. Actually, it's making history, and it's writing history for the future. It's a platform. It has been already explained, the background about it. But it's actually, before we dig a little bit deeper into it, for those who are used to use social media, I guess this one you will find it different. Different in a way where, first, there's the ownership of a Nigerian element in it. That's the first time Nigeria, as a nation, at least gets introduced to a platform that it owns 100%. And yes, there are plenty of platforms around the world. And like a friend told me a couple of days ago, Rome wasn't built in one day. So this is a platform that definitely has what we need to start with. Definitely would require engagement so that we know how we need to take it further. But what I'm sure about is that you're going to enjoy it. You're going to ask your kids to be on it. You're going to ask your friends to be on it, as it's going to really help you to voice your own, not necessary issues. You know, people think that we only share or we voice issues. No, we also share happiness. We also share good things that happen with us. So without going any further, please, can we go back to the presentation? So, next slide, please. So, it is actually an app. If you go right now, anybody who hasn't downloaded it, I'm not sure how much capacity we have here, you can go right now to the store and download it. Very easy, very straightforward. The onboarding is actually enjoyable, and hopefully with time you will see it more and more enjoyable. Very straightforward. Your number. No more information other than your number are required, because you actually need to receive a confirmation that this is your number, not somebody is registering under somebody else's number. You receive that SMS, and then you start really navigating and going through what happens. So it is a safe space for Nigerians to interact and express. As simple as that. No complications, no words that need like a page to a whole page or a whole book to explain. Simplicity is beauty, and the simplicity is as you see it here. Next, please. So, the first that you see when you log into the app, after you download it, you onboard, you register, there's something called feed. And that feed is where you actually start looking at what others have posted before you. You like, actually, you can either thumbs up or thumbs down. You know, today, expression of an opinion, today you can like, and if you don't like, you don't do anything. And probably sometimes you want to dislike something or disapprove with something without writing anything. So we included a dislike button. So you can press like or dislike. And the more likes you get, the more actually your feed stays above. And the more dislikes you get, the more your feed gets down. We'll get to that also. Then also you can get to comment like every other platforms that you can see today. So that's the feed. And the feed is that you feed it, and then you also look for what others have included. And I know, actually, probably most of us here in this room, and maybe all of the youth who are with us, each one of us sleeps with his phone next to him or her phone next to her. First thing you do in the morning is you grab your phone and you see what messages you have. And I would like each one of you and each one of the users to make it a habit. You go to Tribe Niger first before you go to any other platform. If you've been probably used to open Twitter for the past 12 years. Today you can't open it. That's another discussion. But again, so you can actually instead of opening that Twitter, you can open Tribe Niger. And it is, and I need to really to remind everybody, it is not an account on a social media. It is a social medium. So we are comparable to the top social media platforms available in the world. Next, please. So, discussion topics. Here so for those who have it, lucky you. For those who don't have it, please go ahead. Because then you will see here on the top, these discussion boards, there are different topics. And these are kind of umbrellas for the discussions. So you can click on one of them. Let's say Niger Matters here, it says. Or probably there's Chop Chop. Actually, Chop Chop started to begin the highest, okay, you guys, you like your stomach a lot, and you like your food a lot. So, but there are other matters as well. So there are cultural, scientific, daily matters, many topics and many umbrellas. And these will change and change over time. But then when you click, please don't, just keep on it, please. So when you click on any of these topics, then you will see the discussions and how people are interacting to really talk about a certain topic, okay? And then you will see that you can reply and get a reply. You can like, you can dislike, and then you can, and actually today you will see that these topics are created by the platform itself. Very soon, and I'm going to talk about it in the next slides, each one of you will be able to create his or her own topic and moderate it. You could be at school and really mad from your teacher, and you come out and just put his name or her name. What do you think about that teacher? And I'm sure floods of conversation will come. But I need to caution you, and this is really between brackets here. Developing this type of platforms is not a one-day job, and it's not even a one-year job. As it was said before, it's been in the making for years as an idea, but in terms of actual development, it's been a couple of years. This doesn't come without proper monitoring. This doesn't come, and monitoring doesn't mean This is Democracy Day, so I cannot claim something different. Monitoring doesn't mean stopping the democracy process and democratic process of you expressing yourself as a user. And here I'm not talking politics. I'm not a political person. I'm a pure technical person here. But it means that when you develop such platform, you respect the rules and regulations, and you actually oblige, quote unquote, the users to be respectful as well to that environment and to where you are. And it is one of our main responsibilities to control it while expression of freedom and expression of any insinuations you are there. Okay, so there is a huge work in terms of analytics behind it. And what I mean by analytics in terms of the monitoring and so on, and according to what the laws and regulations oblige us to go through. So to come back here, this is a very important part of it. So Democracy Day, I think we have a question around Democracy Day in it today. And this is really a place where each one of us and each one of your friends, colleagues, family members in Nigeria and in the diaspora, they can really express what they feel about what democracy means for them. What do they feel about this day? What do they feel about this event? What do they feel about what has been discussed before? What has been said before? Do they like it? Some people may not like it. That's the freedom of it, and this is the beauty of it. Next, please. Again, so I already spoke about this. So you will see that it starts here, and then it gets more and more information and more discussions and more feedback, and people get to know each other. And here, by the way, I want to just highlight two things. Already Kola mentioned that people do not chat with each other. This is not a medium where let's say it replaces WhatsApp. Your WhatsApp is there, you can use it. You want to talk directly with somebody, you can. This is a place where you come as groups and you talk and you discuss maturely and sometimes immaturely, okay, certain topics. That's normal. Next, please. All right, so more to come. So I spoke about the user-generated topics. So each one of you will be a moderator of his own or her own topic. And I'm talking here to everybody who's watching us right now through the social media and the streaming and everybody in this room. So you will become the owner of your own topics. You can voice it, and you can speak about it. You can get surveys about it. You can really test if an idea is workable or not workable. And here, okay, Democracy Day pushes us to talk about politics, but no, I'm talking you can bring, I don't know, a new idea, you want to sell something. So it's not a marketplace, so that we don't confuse it. You can't really sell here on it. You can't get paid on it through it. But if really you have a new idea you want to bring in and you want to really discuss it, that's also the place for you. So user-generated topics, that's definitely you can do. It's coming very soon. Voice chatting. So today, most of us we're doing many things, and I caution you here: don't text and drive, okay? But also don't voice and drive. So, most of the people now are developing the habit of sending a voice rather than typing. And you'll be able to do that very soon. And when I say very soon, I mean it very, very soon. So even the debates, the discussions, you don't need to type. You can also, so you're sitting in the comfort of your sofa, you're watching TV, watching a game, I don't know, bored from a meeting, and you want to be part of a certain discussion. You can really talk through rather than type. Topic moderation, that's related actually to the user-generated topics. We look forward to have hundreds and hundreds of identified good moderators in the future. And I wouldn't be surprised that many people sitting here today and with us online will become future moderators of this app. And it will come with its own rewarding systems. And this will also tell us, like, okay, I can't remember the name, but the gentleman who said the poem, I think he left, right? Okay. Okay, I'm not Nigerian, but I've been here enough to probably there are people who were not born when I came in this room, when I came to Nigeria. It was an emotional poem even for me to hear. But why I'm saying this? I'm saying this because this is a poem that could be taken to the platform and be dissected and discussed extensively by everybody in this room. And probably one of the people will take it and start moderating in terms of what each and every line of that poem means to each. This is to that extent you can take the discussion on Tribe Niger as a platform and as an app. So many things more are coming. And my commercial mind tells me that I should stop here in terms of declaring more what more things are coming. I'm used to launch good things, and I'm very humbled that I am part of this today. So next, please. Can you please play it? Some teaser for you. I still love you. Next. All right. Thank you very much. I really look forward to see more and more numbers of downloads, but not only that, but also engagement and actually throwing back at us the challenge of how to improve it going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and a round of applause again for Fadi Khatib. He said he's not a Nigerian, but he's a Nigerian. I had a conversation with him when I walked in. He was actually the first to welcome me, and I said, he can't possibly be telling me that he's not a Nigerian. He's been able to write that, and he also loves good food. He loves his stomach as well. And, you know, the app is something that is welcomed on whichever device you know, on the Android device and the iOS. iOS is the app store for Apple. So get on that conversation. And I think I'm also with him on DK's poem. You know, even before he came on, I was saying that that should even be the first major discussion, even after our conversation we'll be having here with our friends here and also our other friends who will be joining us virtually. So we have two key things that will start the conversation while we download the app. So let's keep the conversation going. But I'll just have one more person to come on before we start our panel session. Keep in mind, your questions are being collated. So keep them coming. And I'm also told that the Facebook is working pretty well. So the Facebook and the Zoom, these two serve as a platform for you to be a part of this conversation. So Tribe Niger NG, that's the Facebook handle Tribe Niger NG. So it's working, and of course the Zoom link that has been shared across. We're excited to note that a lot of people across Nigeria and outside Nigeria are a part of this conversation. So quickly, let's call on Ekeno Ayo to come talk more about Tribe Nigeria materials. A round of applause for Ayo.
Thank you very much. My name is Ekeno Ayo. Sometimes people put E at the end, so they call me Ekene Ayo. But it's Ekeno Ayo. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm happy about the very, very brilliant presentation by Fadi on the app. Beautiful stuff. Fadi, thank you very much. And all the sessions we've had. My assignment is very simple this afternoon. And basically is to introduce us to some of the things you would see to drive awareness of this app. But before I do that, we have some very special people today in the house. Everybody's special, but I want to recognize them specially. All right? University of Abuja, greatest Nigerian student, if you are here. University of Abuja, greatest Nigerian student. I feel you. I will just give you a little hint. As we say in our own community, it go choke. It choke, Abi. This app go choke. Right? You're welcome. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you very much. The app is an interesting one. I've been on it for a few weeks. But we want, like every good product, right? There has to be a selling. You have to sell it. You have to make people know about it. That awareness. But what we've created in terms of materials to create this awareness also tap into the youth culture, the touch points, and the people we want to talk to. But it appeals to a cross spectrum of individuals and groups. So I'll be sharing with you in a few minutes some of the materials without much ado. So technical team, if you are ready, you can cue me in onto the first material you'll be seeing, which is something that we actually leaned and gleaned from D.K. Chukwumereje's style. And it is the mantra for this app. So technical team, can we have the mantra, please? Thank you. The beauty of this is that people, actually for my friends who are up in the aisle there, we like to be able to convey our messages in a very enchanting manner. And that's what this material will do. So technical, if we are ready, can we have it? Thank you. By the way, if you have not yet downloaded the app, please go to the App Store right now. You should also be following the various handles on Facebook, Twitter. Okay, not Twitter for today, but Instagram is there, Facebook is there. Don't worry, you will know how we'll come back to Twitter later. But let's start. You can follow some of the activities, but download the app right now. Download it. Go into the discussion chat rooms because that's where all the action is taking place. I don't know why people, I think I know, people like Chop Chop. Chop Chop is about food, so people are talking about food. But Nigeria Matters is there. We have Nigeria Yonder for people who are living abroad. All right? So, are we good? Don't worry, these things happen. It's our community, it's our world. We are going to listen to those materials in a short while. But what we've done is basically to look at things that our target audience, the social media audience, will be able to connect to. These materials will run on radio, will run on TV, and you will see some of them on billboards, both LED billboards and static billboards. You will also see some of our videos being highlighted on some of the YouTube channels. If you go to the Tribe Niger app, you will see the app and the videos actually running on the app itself. Okay? So signal me when you have the cue on. Technical, no for my handle. Otherwise, I will downgrade you.
Everyone you meet are answered with respect and corresponding intellect.
This.
It's not a troublemaking, thoughtless, trash-talking, savage street. This is not a hotspot. It's not a troublemaking, thoughtless, trash-talking, savage street. No. This is a safe space where the opinions of everyone you meet are answered with respect and corresponding intellect.
This is a zone for those with the true Niger spirit, who define how they want to be defined, those who defy the odds, who are not accustomed to the norm.
A hub for those not bound by routine, those who stand behind what they believe in, who are intentional about the work they put in.
A family of those who make the most of the present to create the future they desire.
This is Tribe Niger.
For those who see it different and want to do it different.
To join the conversation, download the Tribe Niger app today.
Thank you very much. So that's the video material, the TV you would see on TV running very soon. You also see it on some of the social media platforms. You also see it on YouTube. We have a YouTube page, so you go there and follow it. We will now also let you listen to the audio materials also. And, right, I guess...
Beautiful culture, I'm on even when you fall my heart, I will stand for you. Sometimes you may break my heart, I still love you.
If you feel that song, please put your hands together for that song. All right. This is where it gets interesting. If you think you know who performed that particular track. No, you have to go to Tribe Niger. The first person to get the correct name of the artist that performed that one, right? Do we do it here? Do we do it here? It's democracy. Do we do it here? We should. We should. Who knows the artist? The first correct answer will get something from me. Now, and it's live. Yes? Yes. Yes, tell me. Chike. Chike. Okay, he says Chike. Does anybody have any contrary opinion? No, we are okay. And the answer is correct. Chike did that particular track. Please give him a... see me immediately after now, just now. Thank you very much. It's going to be available for you. You can make it your ringtone. When you go to the app, you will hear it. You will hear it across all the platforms as we go. But please let your friends know that it is your #1 playlist track. Right? That's what should wake you up. It should be your alarm as what? Omo Naija. Thank you very much for your time.
If you knew the power of the masters of ceremonies, then you will know how powerful I am today. So I speak for those people who are online, virtually, so we have to take another quiz for them so that those can vote on the app. So you have already won, those people presently here, so we need someone. So Ekeno is going to help us again and look for something so that people can get something.
Okay. There is another quiz, right? Mm-hmm. Did we listen to the audio material? The one in which I will play it now. And if you get online, this is for online participants. If you get the first person to post on Tribe Niger the correct name of the artist that did that mantra. The mantra is, you would hear it now, the audio version of it. Once you post the correct name, the very first correct answer online on Tribe Niger, then also there is a prize for that person now. So what we will do basically is that we'll play the track for you. Then you tell me the artist that performed that particular mantra. Right. Okay. Just take it. We'll play it only once.
It's not a thoughtless, trash-talking, savage street. No, this is a zone for those with a true Naija spirit, who define how they want to be defined. A hub for those who stand behind what they believe in, who make the most of the present to create the future they desire. This is Tribe Niger, for those who see it different and want to do it different.
To join the conversation, download the Tribe Niger app today.
Okay, so go online right now and type in the name of the artist that performed that the mantra. Thank you very much. Sulaiman, you've just made me commit myself to giving additional prize.
I made him give that out. But anyway, thank you very much. A round of applause for him again. You know, I said something when we started, and I said it must be an all-inclusive one. We are here, following the spirit of inclusion. So for those who are not physically here, they must be a part of this whole largesse, this goodie. Let's put small hole in his pocket. So it's just a small one. But anyway, I'd like us to play that sound again, the track again, so that we can get the stage set for our panelists. So our IT, please get that music ready, and so that I like to call it music. It's a great sound. Was anyone bopping their heads? Yeah, we love that. So can we have that again, so that we can get the stage ready for our panelist session? Thank you.
Please be like home. Beautiful people celebrating now. Beautiful culture. I'm on a job. Even when you fall my heart, I will stand for you. Sometimes you they break my heart. saying no place be like home. Beautiful people celebrating now. Beautiful culture, I'm on a job. Even when you fall my heart, I will stand for you. Sometimes you they break my heart. I still love you. I remember when I was a little boy. Mama tell me, say no place be like home. Beautiful people celebrating now. Beautiful culture of our nation. Even when you fall my hand, I'm gonna stand for you. Sometimes you may break my heart, but I still love you. I remember when I was a little boy. Mama tell me, say no place be like home. Beautiful people celebrating now. Beautiful culture, I'm on a job. Even when you fall my heart, I will stand for you. Sometimes you they break my heart. I still love you. I love no place be like home. Beautiful people celebrating now. Beautiful culture, I'm on a job. Even when you fall my heart, I will stand for you. Sometimes you they break my heart. I still love you. Please be like home. Beautiful people celebrating now. Beautiful culture, I'm on a job. Even when you fall my heart, I will stand for you. Sometimes you they break my heart. I still love you.
Thank you very much. I think we've had enough of that, and we continue to get the download from the app. Don't forget, as rightly said a while ago, we can use it as our ringtone, ringback tone, get used to it, but most importantly, the message in that song by Chike is apt. It reminds us of, the days of, pardon me, I needed to say this, the days of National Orientation Agency, where you have some jingles that you can readily play on and on, bask in the euphoria of that sound as well as the message. And that's the whole essence of having a conversation like this. If you really don't have an agency to continue in that direction, you can do it. You can own it. That's one thing about a Nigerian, never giving up spirit. So we have something that will always remind us of what to do and how to take charge and how to believe in our unity as a people. So the big conversation has come for us to call our panelists. We have 6 of them, and 3 here with me in Abuja at the Yaradua Center, and of course 3 will join us virtually. And ladies and gentlemen, in no particular order, I'm looking at the list, so I'm flipping because, again, I want to call on the ladies first. And one of those who will be joining us today is Cynthia. And Cynthia Mbamalu is a proud African and Nigerian. She's a feminist whose passion for democracy, human rights, and development have reshaped the political space in Nigeria and Africa. So let's welcome Cynthia. Thank you very much. She's the co-founder of Youth Initiative for Advocacy, Growth and Advancement. That is YAGA. Yes, YAGA Africa, which focuses on in-depth research, providing critical analysis on key democratic and governance issues, crafting practical solutions, training and empowering citizens to lead change in their community. In 2016, Cynthia and a small group of Nigerians pioneered the highly successful Not Too Young to Run, you remember that hashtag movement, which led to greater involvement of youth in politics, and it is a model for youth-led constitutional reform at the moment. Once again, Cynthia, thank you very much for finding the time to join us. And we also have with us here Dr. Abdul Mumin Yinka Ajia. A round of applause for him. He is an entrepreneur and a research scholar in leadership and organizational management studies, economics, public policy, and African studies. Ajia's areas of expertise include general, strategic, and project management. Ajia served as the editor-in-chief of the Plateau State NYC editorial board back in the day, in the late 90s. And of course, he's also worked in middle management at Forbes' top 200 small company and in a similar capacity with a Louisville-based Fortune 500 company. As general manager at CEC Entertainment Incorporated, he was involved in a turnaround project introducing change and managing rollouts. Ajia also serves on the board of the Human Development Center, which is a non-profit organization that helps indigent women and at-risk children. A round of applause for him again. Also to join me live here is Hamzat Lawal. And can we welcome Hamzat Lawal to the podium? Hamzat is an anti-corruption activist. He's the founder of Follow the Money, and I'm sure you've been following that. If you haven't, well, they have been doing immense job, a social accountability initiative that comprises data analysts, journalists, activists, and students. Hamzat is also the chief executive of Connected Development, the acronym for CODE, a non-government organization that is empowering marginalized communities in Africa with access to information on how to better engage their government for the implementation of public services. Once again, Hamzat Bala Lawal, welcome. Virtually Some others will be joining us. And first on the list is Cynthia Mbamalu. Cynthia is a proud African. I mean, I wanted to say Sandra Ezekwesili. Sorry, I beg your pardon, Cynthia. So Sandra Sopoluchukwu Ezekwesili is a broadcast journalist and media personality with over 10 years in radio and TV industry. She currently hosts the Drive Time News and Current Affairs radio show, Hard Facts, on Nigeria Info 99.3 FM in Lagos, Nigeria. Sandra has strong communication, media relations, interview, interpersonal, and networking skills, and she's someone with an innate ability to communicate with respect, tact, and diplomacy, good negotiation skills, and amazing ability to work with minimum to zero supervision, take initiative, and make a sound judgment while maintaining a team player spirit. Her social media engagement skills are phenomenal. A round of applause again for Sandra. And thank you for joining us, Sandra. And we also have Andrew Obuoforibo to join us virtually. He's a product manager in the Nigerian tech sector. Andrew, alongside his professional career, has a big and long career in politics. Apart from a run for the Rivers State House of Assembly at the age of 30, he also served as head speechwriter and deputy chief of staff for Abie Sekibo's governorship campaign at the ACN. He also co-wrote Dr. Sekibo's campaign manifesto. In 2015, he was again a speechwriter for a governorship candidate, this time Dr. Dakoko Peterside of the APC, for whose campaign he was also deputy director for new media and ICT. He was a part of the candidates' debate prep team. Andrew is a freelance writer of articles and short stories. He has also written a science fiction novel, Superman, Yellow Sun. A round of applause for Andrew. And Andrew, thank you very much for finding time to join us. And of course, Idayat Hassan is also joining us virtually. And Hassan is director of the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, an Abuja-based policy advocacy and research organization with a focus on deepening democracy and development in West Africa. Her interests span democracy, peace and security, transitional justice, and ICT4D in West Africa. Well, as the director of the CDD, she oversaw CDD's rise from not being ranked in 2013 to 16th out of 94 think tanks in sub-Saharan Africa, according to the 2019 University of Pennsylvania Global Gold Think Tank Index report. Under her leadership, CDD became a mover in the civic tech space. She has subsequently strengthened CDD's position as a civic tech leader with a portfolio of projects, including but not limited to analysis of the relationship between social media platforms, election processes, and electoral outcomes, using an app to identify electoral fraud, and analyzing the use of personal data in political campaign in Nigeria. Her work on social media has gained widespread popularity, including her being cited by The Economist, BBC, and in scholarly publications. A round of applause for Idayat Hassan. And of course, I'll go take my seat. I'm your moderator, Sulaiman Alede. I talk for a living. Okay, great. Thank you very much. The IT has asked me to also hold on to my phone. Some messages will be coming from everyone watching us from across the world. So we'll be starting off this conversation. For a lot of people watching us today for the very first time, it is the first time for some getting to see us sit together to talk about democracy. The first, we must also, even though Kola made that reference in his speech, I also did, but again, we still must go back and say thanks to this administration for going back to what the entire nation has always asked for, and that is to recognize the winner of that election, Chief MKO Abiola, GCFR, and of course, also make June Day a national holiday, June 12 a national holiday, and not a holiday for a particular region of the country. So kudos to the President and his team, President Muhammadu Buhari, and we must say thank you again to all those who made that possible. So quickly, let's delve into what we're looking at today, and as everyone can see, we're asking this thing called democracy. Let me start with Ajia, and you know, off the top of your head, once you saw that artwork, the flyer, and you saw the theme, this thing called democracy, what readily came to mind?
Thank you, Suleiman. So, you know, I've seen the flyer, and then today kind of brought it all together for me. I think the theme is so appropriate to the occasion because democracy is a process. It's not a destination. You know, you keep working at it. So I believe that the conversation we're going to be having today has to do with, you know, what is this thing called democracy? What does it mean to live in a democracy? In the First Republic, we've had uninterrupted almost 22 years of democracy. What does it mean for us, those of us that are adults at the time in 1999? And what does it mean for the children that were born in 1999? I think that should be the conversation that we should be having today.
You know, that's a fine way to start off. And the truth is about a lot of people looking at 1999 and everyone born in 1999, you'll be amazed. Well, we'll come back and ask people, those who were born in 1999. And Cynthia, how does that come to you, this thing called democracy?
Thank you. And
quickly, sorry to cut you there. Maybe as we get this conversation, if we can get something to elevate this mic. I see everyone seem to be, you know, so that I don't want to, I'll get you something. So the IT will get us something to elevate the mic. So just manage for a bit.
I think the title or the theme for the conversation today, like has been said, is apt and appropriate. But as a young Nigerian who is transiting beyond the youth age and looking at the younger Nigerians coming after me, because I belong to the millennial generation and the Gen Z, they are the ones who are taking charge. I think what is important is this time this is me experiencing democracy, uninterrupted democracy, and asking myself how I define and internalize the concept of democracy as a Nigerian, but also looking beyond me and looking at the younger ones coming after me and wondering how do they appreciate the concept of democracy, and then bringing it all to asking ourselves, how do we as a people define democracy, and how can we build the democracy that is Nigerian and that we all connect to as Nigerians? Because I think that is what matters at the end of it all, that not necessarily that we're not looking at democracy as something that is abstract or as something that is abstract or something that does not that exists in outer space, but that democracy is living, democracy is us, democracy is what we do every day, and that democracy takes everyone taking action to make it work. So for me as a young Nigerian and looking at the younger ones coming behind me, it's more on how do we make this thing work for us, because it has to work for us.
Well, thank you very much, Cynthia. And of course, what about you, Lawa?
Well, for me, democracy allows us to have conversation, it allows us to air our grievances and shape policies. It allows us inclusion. It does not discriminate. As powerful as anyone is, under a democracy, you're only entitled to one vote. So for me, this is really important. But when I reflect further and look at Nigeria's democracy, we're more practicing a democracy and an autocracy. So the mix of what we're currently practicing in Nigeria today. And I'm excited we're having this conversation, but as a young person who have worked across Nigeria and who lead a movement, we're practicing autocracy and democracy, a mix of the both. And I think also we're still emerging. Nigeria is still relatively young in democracy, and I guess we're still navigating through what democracy is and what we as young people, as old people call a democracy or democratic government. Again, I also think that there's that military hangover because even as a young person, there's a fear within us that we might likely get shot if we speak our mind or if we air our grievances in a particular way. Democracy allows for you to speak and vent in any way you deem fit and to engage your leaders. For us and for me, I think our democracy and... So yes, that military hangover where we're used to force. Everything has to be force with tear gas, with bullets. But I believe as we continue to unravel this democracy in Nigeria, hopefully we would start to understand and get it right, as old people and as young people.
Well, we'll try as much as possible to make this, we'll wrap this conversation at exactly 10 minutes past 2. That is a 40-minute conversation from amongst, 6 people. But again, the other half will be taking your questions. So basically, let's quickly go to Sandra. And Sandra, I'm trying for us to have a concept of what each and every one of us thinks what democracy is. And you've heard Ajia, Lawal, and of course Cynthia. So tell us, if you will, Sandra, what readily comes to mind when we talk about our democracy?
With a show that is one of the most listened to shows in Lagos. Democracy is in action every single day in my life. I hear people share opinions. I hear people share their hopes. I hear people share their dreams about this country, about the future, about our processes. Toby got in touch with me to be on this panel, and the theme was this thing called democracy. I said to myself, how apt, especially at a time where Nigeria's democratic space is shrinking. So as we sit here having this conversation in Lagos, policemen are tear gassing young people who are protesting their legal right, a right that is guaranteed in a democratic government. In Abuja, we have police tear gassing.
Hello, Sandra, if you can hear me. I think there's a hallback.
So I think
hello, Sandra.
This conversation is happening at the right time, but it's also a conversation that Nigerians have been having for a while. And if you are on air, it's a conversation that you're having every single day, 5 hours a day.
Well, anyway, thank you very much, Sandra. But I was trying to draw your attention to our hallback, and perhaps if you're watching, if you're tuned on from any device, perhaps you can actually get the device away from where you are at the moment. But I got the gist, and that also resonates with a lot of people, especially journalists who are in the electronic media. We'll come back for you to expatiate more on what we should be doing. And let's go to Andrew Oboforibo. Andrew, you've heard our friends here give their own thoughts to what democracy is. Let's hear from you.
Can you hear me there? Can't hear the studio.
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Well, for me, democracy is in the streets. Like Sandra said, right now, as we speak, people are getting tear gassed. Those young people, most of them Gen Z, like Cynthia pointed out, I see them as the heirs of MKO Abiola. MKO Abiola and those who were part of the June 12th movement were standing up for the right for our votes to count on election day. But election day is every 4 years. And democracy exists in between those elections in our ability to speak, in our ability to hold government accountable, in our ability to make ourselves heard by the people we put in power. So when suddenly it is considered illegal or wrong to speak your mind, then the greatest democratic act, the only thing that we can consider democracy, is going out and speaking your mind in the face of that resistance. So I think when the time comes to name our next set of GCFRs and GCONs, I look at those young people in the streets and I say, those are the heirs of MKO Abiola. Those are the heirs of Shehu Yaradua. Those are the heirs of those who gave us the inspiration for what we have today. It's become cliche to talk about democracy in danger, but I believe that every single day, in every single nation, democracy is always in danger because there's always a tendency for those in power to want to hold on to power. And the worst thing for that is when people are speaking and insisting on their ability to choose those who reign over them. And so democracy is constantly in danger, more so in some countries than others. And so those people on the streets today, standing up for June 12th, they are democracy right now.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew. And we're still trying to find out where the static is coming from. It doesn't look like it's coming from the hall here, as every electronic device is off when you're talking. There's this hall back from both of you, Andrew and Sandra. We hope we can get it sorted out. Now let's get to Idayat, Dr. Idayat Hassan, and quickly to know your thinking. Already you've heard everyone, Ajia has spoken, and of course for Lawal, he's also thinking quite differently from everyone. He still thinks that there's no inclusive policy in what we see. He still thinks that there's a military hangover, and of course he calls this an autocratic democracy. So Idayat Hassan, tell us what you think this is. Okay, for us to save time, while we get that sorted out, let's quickly come back to the Yaradua Hall here and continue our conversation. And this comes back, let me take this quickly to Cynthia. You said you're of the Generation Z, and you're a millennial, and you also talked about the Generation Z coming. And the thing is, the conversation has to come again with some form of understanding. Anytime we talk about democracy, some will want to look at 1999 till date, whether we have been following democracies. Some will go back to our unitary system of government back in the day, to the extent that there's always this back and forth, whether we should go back to the old constitution in the 60s, specifically 1963. But let's not talk about our democracy and speak in the language of the millennia, so that we can break it down and stop all those, verbose and those jargons that make it almost impossible for people to understand. You've already, from your conversation, your opening, I see that there is almost a problem with our democracy. Let's start talking about the problems. And before we leave, we'll start talking about the solutions.
So we'll start with the problems. I think first it begins with the definition of democracy itself. So the whole concept of democracy is centered around the people. And can I continue? Okay. It's centered around the people. So if you ask, what does democracy mean to the average citizen? It's simply that I can speak freely and not be afraid that I would be persecuted or locked up for speaking. It's as simple as I can go to the polls and I would vote, and that my vote would count. It's as simple as I've elected my leaders and I can ask questions. I can demand from my leaders accountability, and my leaders would respond to me. It's as simple as my standard of living is sufficient to keep me, to sustain me as a human. For young people, it's as simple as I'm free to express myself the best way that I can, to utilize my potential to its fullest capacity, to go to school and have education, quality education that builds me to compete with my peers globally. So democracy is centered around the people. And if you ask me what is the problem, I would say with just the simple definition of democracy, I don't want to theorize about it, with just the simple definition of democracy, can Nigerians, the average Nigerians, the young Nigerians, women, persons with disability, because it's also as simple as women saying, I look at government and I can see my representation in government, that government is not showing a one story of a society, one-sided story of a society, or for persons with disability, that I'm a citizen and not a charity case, So it's that simple. And if you say, where is the problem? I'll begin with first. If I want to bring in a bit of theory, the process of democratic transition is a bit about political liberalization and democratization. Now you're talking about the presence of civil rights and liberties, political rights and liberties, but also that there are existing systems to curtail the power of government, and that the people is carried along, and that the electoral process guarantees free participation and emergence of leaders that represent the will of the people. So it's a mixture of all of that. Now, have we seen that? Can we say boldly that we are experiencing these simple examples of what democracy is or what it should be? And the answer is no. But then again, are we seeing somewhat a process of that? Yes. And why? We have elections, don't we? Yes, we've had periodic elections since 1999. We've had horrible elections 2007. Even the president came up and said, these elections that brought me to power was flawed. Let's reform the process. So we've had reforms. But we've also seen an improvement in the process. Is it perfect? No. No system is perfect. Do we have rights guaranteed in the Constitution? Yes. But do we have elements of the state trying to limit and violate these rights? Yes. So that's why I said we're not there. There are problems. And the thing for me is centered about the people finally. Because for me, democracy is not self-realized. Democracy is what a people works and fights and demands and engages to build. Right. So it's a consistent journey. And it takes the conversation, it takes both conversation and it takes collaborative efforts of different generations, different sections of the society. And please, women, the women question, because we can't talk about democracy without inclusion.
Definitely. I'll come back to you, Cynthia. Don't lose your train of thoughts, especially about women and people living with disabilities. Let me come to Ajia. Listening to Cynthia, she said something, and she said, democracy must be people-centric. And we have seen in our present-day government, because I said to Cynthia, I want us to relate to key things that we can, hold on to, so that government those outside government, the people in my village can understand our conversation. When we talk about representative democracy, as Cynthia has put it, she said we're not seeing too many of that. How do you link this with what we're seeing, that every attempt that such conversations have thrown up is never adhered to? I'll give you an instance. We'll talk about having autonomy for different layers of government, for instance, judicial autonomy, which we just experienced. We just came out of a 2-month strike action by the judiciary workers. And it's amazing that those who were democratically elected were the same people, the governors, who kicked against it. So how can we bring about true representative democracy, as Cynthia put it, people-centric democracy to Nigeria? Maybe you can use the handheld mic. Apologies. Yes.
Thank you, Suleiman. I'd like to go a little bit back to the question that you asked Cynthia about what is the trouble with Nigerian democracy. In scholarly and non-scholarly forums, we try to dissect this issue, and I've always theorized that the issue is because it didn't happen organically. It didn't come out of our own experience. You could say that the present democracy came out of the struggle that started during the Babangida era, which ultimately led to June 12, 1993. But however, in 1998, the military orderly put everything together and left the scene. So the crop of Nigerians that took power at the time, many of them went into it because they felt like, oh, the military has gone, it's time for us to be in charge and take care of ourselves. So that leads me to the personalization of power. The people in the villages, in the countryside or on the streets of our state capitals, they have not been able to feel the impact of democracy because the people that I call the power elite in this country, they took power in 1999, not for the sole purpose of developing this country, but to help themselves and their friends. So what we need to do is what Mr. MKO Abiola has started. We need to be Tribe Niger, to take power back to the Nigerian people. Going forward, we need to start, the Nigerian people, especially those of us Generation X, that is the generation before our own, Generation Millennial, and Generation Z, we all need to come together to change the scenario. Between these three generations, we have 49.7% of the votes. We own this country. Last week, I was here at this same stage, given the same message that I do not understand how we have ceded the space to a small select group of Nigerians to dictate to us how this country will be led. From 1965 to the people that were born in around 91, the people that will be eligible to vote in the next election, we constitute the majority of this country. So, in order to make democracy work for us beyond periodic elections, because you can actually have elections without democracy. You can actually have elections without democracy. So what we need to do is we need to come together as a people and we need to forge a common front. And it's so appropriate that this is happening at this time. Second thing we need to do is, first, regardless of the feelings, I also acknowledge President Buhari for doing the right thing, for acknowledging June 12th as the proper democracy day. May 29 does not really mean anything to us as Nigerians. So it was a good thing that he did that. The next battle should be, how can we make democracy work? I know, Suleiman, you wanted to go ahead and take over. Before you do that, give me one quick second. 2 generations of Nigerians have done something. The people that brought independence to this country, the Sardauna generation, which includes Sir Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Abat Macaulay, and all of them of that era, they fought to bring democracy, to bring independence to our nation. The second set of Nigerians are the Buhari, Obasanjo, and Gowon, all of their generation. They fought to keep Nigeria one. It is the job of this generation of Nigerians to build Nigeria. And that's how, and then the process continues. Thank you.
Okay, we'll continue with the process. And I'll start off. He actually said something. He said the personalization of power, which is very key there. And that speaks a lot to what we're going through at the moment. People have been able to almost jettison the Constitution to the extent that they see themselves as Lord and masters, not looking towards the Constitution. They can blatantly look you in the eye and flout, laws, extant laws, and also the Constitution. Thank you, Ajia. We'll spaceship more on that. And let me bring this to Lawal. Lawal, I did a lot checking you and your group, Follow the Money. And some of the key things I said to myself is, I want you to speak to what happens in Nigeria. We've seen people who are great activists all over the world. And they've also gone into politics. Some of the names he called, Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Sir Anthony Nahuru, the Saldana. These people were activists before they got into politics. How is it that, even if you take it out of Nigeria, John Lewis, he finally made it to the Senate. But you come back home, the same activists who were talking about the need for us to uphold our democratic values. Help us here. How is it that sometimes when they get in, they are the same people? Because if you look at the same category of persons who refuse the judicial autonomy, some of them were even lawyers, and some of them were also activists back in the day. So what happens when they get into office? Because that's what you're doing now, activism. So I'm afraid, I'm worried for you.
Well, thank you. Maybe when I get into office, I would have answers for your question. But absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I think that we're still hell-bent on politics. We've not transitioned from politics to governance. And we're very emotional about our politics and very transactional. If I want to run today, people would not care what my ideas are. They want to know how much I have or how much I bring into the table. And we must understand that the platform is a political party. And political parties are expensive. You have to buy your party nomination form, you have to buy your expression of interest form, you have to have a political structure, you have to create an office and create a campaign, you have to start sorting people and paying. You literally pay through this process and the system. So what happens is, as an activist, probably you get someone who funded your campaign, and then you get into office. The first thing is wanting to, pay back your master, so that probably you get your own personal independence, and then you can then make money and keep yourself in office. So for me, I believe that when we understand as a people that we actually have power, power is not real. You cannot see it. You can only feel it. But if we must understand that we are power, numbers. Politics is numbers. What stops us as young people to get, and we have the numbers, but what stops us to rally around one idea? And I say that idea because idea rules the world. When you come up with that idea, and not too young to run, it was just a group of 7 of us. We sat down in a room and we came up with the idea, and the hashtag, be it leading or opposition, everybody jumped on it. So I believe that as young people, as older people, we must also understand that generational equity is important. Yes, I'm young, I have energy, I have followership, but I don't have the experience. Truth be told, when you talk politics is not activism. Yes, I go to grassroots. People will listen to me because this is advocacy. When it's politics, they'll tell me to keep quiet and sit down. This is the truth. I've been to various political meetings. It's different from politics. It's different from activism and civil society. But I believe that there's a knowledge. We need to start filtering what can work in politics that we can take from activism. And activism does not mean you have the solutions. Because you see, we activists, we have energy, we can rally around people, we can chant. But Oga, when you're on that seat, it is not activism that will change things. So I think that, as activists, as campaigners, we need to learn skills, and we need to start tapping from generational knowledge and content, and values must lead this. Because see, I tell people that I have a godfather politically, that's Nuhu Ribadu, because he has been able to transition from an anti-corruption activist to a politician. What led me to him is value. Because I could as well go and hug or engage myself with any other politician and join the wagon. But no, I think as people, we need to start looking at role models that imbibe the value we want to see. Because that value will lead that person when he occupies power. Because you would see the traits, even before the power. People, I think we need to start looking at people before they get power. Because they exhibit those traits when they occupy public office. But my people, absolute power corrupts absolutely. We must have checks and balance. And yes, as much as we would have judiciary and legislators, it is the people that will check those powers. Because if you don't understand power, you don't understand politics. And I think we need to stop this, leave politics for politicians. Are politicians not human beings? I tell people now I'm a politician.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lawal. I understand that Idayat is now with us, and we'll come back to you, Idayat. I'm just trying to want everyone to stretch their thoughts on this. And let's quickly go to you, Andrew. I'll come back to you, Sandra, a minute. Let me go to Andrew, because listening to Lawal, off the top of my head, I said Andrew should come in on this. Andrew, looking at your resume, you've worked with politicians, and at the grassroots level, you've also taken a shot in politics. And listening to Lawal, he said, some of us, we don't have the experience. And you've also been a part of a team of people who penned down the manifesto for some politicians who were going for governorship election back then. How does the crafting of manifesto come about? Listening to all of us here, everyone has agreed that democracy must be people-centered. What kind of input did the people make into getting such manifestos up? And how did you get the buy-in of the people? I see a smile in your face, Andrew. So let us in on that. Is this something you sat, in a room and you just thought about what was not working with the last government, and you decided to input it as your own, policies and plans? Because a lot of Nigerians are saying every manifesto they have seen so far are not being, worked on by different people over the years.
Okay. Are you two getting all back from me, or is it clear? All right. So with manifestos, so I've worked on 2 governorship campaigns and then my own campaign as well, which was for House of Assembly. And in those 3, I cannot speak for others, but in those 3, what we did was, long before the election, a couple of years before the election, we were already doing consultations at all levels to see what were the issues in each area, in each area of interest, transportation, healthcare, getting data, because the whole idea, if you're in opposition, is you should be seeing what's happening and what's going wrong, and then asking yourself, how do you fix it? And then you're supposed to get consultants, experts in the field, because just like Hamzat said that, politics is its own field of expertise, but policy making is also its own field of expertise. While I was doing that, my day job was as a consultant for the World Bank, specifically in M&E in health. So I had a lot of direct input when it came to health policy and ICT policy. But other ones, you consult with the experts. But I want to go back to the point about democracy, especially when it comes to the elections, and the fact that the system seems broken. Because what ends up happening is, even if you craft the best manifesto, and I think a lot of people who voted in 2015 may testify that the best manifesto doesn't often translate to the best governance. In fact, sometimes governance is completely divorced from what appeared in the manifesto. And why does that happen? And it comes back to what Hamzat Lawal said about who is owed by the people who are elected. Democracy relies on three things. Democracy relies on institutions, the rule of law, that's the first one. The second, it relies on information, a well-informed population. And the third is money. Nobody likes to talk about that. Because even in countries with clean elections, right, where there's no vote buying, you look at the US election and you have these very high figures. Oh, Trump raised 1 billion, Obama raised 1 billion. Why are they raising that money if they're not vote buying? It's because campaigning costs money. So that's the reason why in most countries, political parties, when you look at them, political parties have an ideology, but that ideology is usually a set of interests of a particular group, economic group in that community, in that society. Karl Marx put it best that political parties are the political extension of an economic class. So, so that's why, for instance, like say in the Western world, in Western Europe and in North America, you have the conservative parties that speak more for the corporations. You have the liberal parties that speak more for the trade union. But why are they speaking for these groups? Because these groups have money to give the parties. In Nigeria, there is only one economic group, one economic class that has money to give the political parties, and that's who I call the contractor class. These are the people who their means of livelihood is to get elected to office or to get their friends elected to office so that they can get government contracts. And then they take those government contracts and use them, to fund the next set of elections. And it keeps on going, right? There is no other economic group in the country that is bringing out money to fund political parties. So not the corporations and their owners, not the middle class of professionals and small business people, because that middle class is too small. And if you look at Nigeria since independence, there has been an effort, government after government, to shrink the middle class. And that effort is not by accident. That effort is by design, to ensure that you can't have another political group or economic group able to fund parties that can compete against these parties funded by the contractors. That's the reason why we now have a ban on Twitter today. Twitter wasn't banned because they deleted the president's tweet. Twitter was banned because the NSAS protesters helped organize and used Twitter rather to organize. And why was that scary? Because for the first time, government saw people that were able to raise 100 million naira in less than a month to fund something political, to fund something in the democratic space. And they did all of that from the tech sector and from the diaspora mostly. Now, for the first time in the history of Nigeria, we actually have a shot at democracy in the true sense, because you now have a rival economic group ready to fund politics in competition with or competition against the contractors. And based on that, the ruling class is running scared. So what they're trying to do is cut the diaspora out of Nigeria so that money doesn't come. That's why also the crackdown on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, shrink the civic space, shoot a few people at the Lekki toll gate, let this young group of Nigerians run away from politics with their tech money. Don't bring this tech money into politics, this clean tech money, because God forbid we end up with political parties that are not funded by this corruption in the system. Okay. So we have to look at that. That is the institutional reason why we still don't have democracy.
I think one of the areas I want you to close on, what we'll come back to you for on the other round for us to close each one of us, is the mistakes. You made reference to the kind of move. There must be some kind of mistake. Sometimes I needed to go back to what Hamzat Lawal said. Hamzi said, not everyone has the experience. It would seem as if the monies were raised, the movement was started, how to manage the movement became a problem, especially when the movement kept on saying we don't have a leader. whether there is a need for any movement to come, without a leader. I want you to talk how, they got into a big mess or fix before we wrap up. That is to you, Andrew. But quickly here, let's bring in Sandra. Sandra, listening to you, some of the key things about democracy hovers around the fourth estate of the realm, and that's your sector, that's your area. And listening to everyone here, I want to ask you, how well over the years has the media been able to help, strengthen Nigeria's democracy? Has the media been a part of the problems or the solution? Sandra. Well, I think while we wait for Sandra to come on, if Dr. Hidayat Hassan is live now, let me quickly go to Dr. Hidayat Hassan. We've been having this conversation and it's gone round. We've all agreed that politics or democracy must be an all-inclusive one, and that is why Cynthia has also been particular about women, children, and people living with disabilities. Tell us, some of the key things you've, done, by some of the key things you've done, where Nigeria democracy seemed to be having a glitch. Knowing full well that we've talked about experience, Hamzi also said something about money. Without money, a lot of people can't come into politics. Perhaps that is why some of the things that Cynthia and her group came up with didn't quite work, because some of the people had to look for the money bags or join the money or the political parties with money, because people were expecting, I see you smiling, I'll come back to you, people were expecting that the not too young to run would have been able to float a political party, but some of them at the end of the day got into the existing political parties. Is Dr. Hassan there?
Thank you. Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Oh, great.
Yes. It's I think it's very interesting, and it's also a happy thing that we are having this conversation on June 12th, as it represents a lot to so many of us. I will relate June 12th to being a child, and the protest in Lagos that we are not at times sure we would even get to school, and all the fear in the air and what that means, and how important 1999 then became for us after
I think
years of then take it 22 years back. I guess that at this point I'll say that it's no longer okay to start saying that.
Well, I think, Dr. Diet, I think the most amazing thing that you started off well, because yours was I think the clearest, virtually, the audio, but somehow there was a glitch. I hope you can get back to us. So once the IT signals me that you're back, we'll bring you back on. So we're trying to take, one more round, every one of us, before we start taking questions. And this will come to you quickly here, Cynthia, and it has to do with the participation of young people, and everyone. First thing first, I'm excited that our conversation, as much as heated they are, we've been able to bring them in the best of language. Sometimes people look at young people, they say, "Don't worry, they will spoil it by themselves with their emotions and with their anger. They will talk with anger and they will get into trouble." And we were hoping to also see these same young people get into a different political, because Nigeria is a multi-party, practices a multi-party democracy. Why do you think that we didn't see a lot of young people, making incursion into some few political parties
and pull together, under that same umbrella of not too young to run, for instance. This is not about not too young to run, but it's about young people who had a vision for the country, a big force, a big movement. What went wrong?
Thank you. Okay, so first, for Not Too Young to Run was never supposed to be about forming a political party. It's basically a movement demanding for youth political leadership, for democratic development, or rather for democratic consolidation, and for quality leadership. And the idea was to have young people driving the conversation, contesting, competing for elections, voting, and providing quality leadership. And so, post the signing of the bill, part of what we saw was we had a lot of young persons who aspired to run for office. But the system became quite challenging, and Hamza made the reference to that money. Because to contest, you need to buy your nomination. Cost of nomination, it includes both nomination fees, expression of interest, and all of that. And for some of the parties, we had the newer parties who were giving concession to young persons. Would give you free tickets, come and contest. We had that. We had I'll call them the two parties with national prominence. The APC and the PDP did not, they still kept their prices high. But now let's talk about what young people can do to change the conversation, to change the system, and why anger is good, but we need to tactfully or to deploy our anger with tact and intentionality to reform a system and to create change. Because it's one thing to be angry and spark on social media and all of that. But even on elections day, we're not coming out to organize and to change the narrative, to change the outcome of the elections, then we're not using our power. And in my office, they were talking, I said, the US, the recent elections in the US, they were going on the street protesting Black Lives Matter, but they were organizing consistently for 2 years to the elections to ensure that they change certain states from red to blue, that they get certain people to Congress, get the president they wanted. So they were on the street protesting, but they were doing what politicians do, building power. Now that is where young people come in, because we have the numbers. And if democracy would work in Nigeria, young people have the power to make it work. And that is about how we organize and build power. We need to start thinking like the politicians. The politicians in 2019 were already planning for 2023 elections. But we wait most times towards the elections, and then we start to plan. 2019, young persons, we constituted about 51.1% of the registered voters, people between 18 and 35. INEC is commencing CVR June 28, and they want to register at least 50 million additional voters before the next elections. And trust me, young persons will be the majority. Now, how do we ensure that that number, beyond registering, actually comes out to vote? Because to change the game, we need to increase our turnout. If we're not coming out, we will not be electing people that would lead us. Then now, the youth candidacy question. And the youth candidacy question, is important because we saw young persons contest. Some did not, aspirants, they couldn't get the party, so they couldn't contest at primaries. Primaries were held, and some of the primaries were just sham, basically. It kicked a lot of people out of the system. People who had the capacity but did not have the right names backing them lost the primary. So they couldn't even contest as candidates. But one of the things we have seen is why I'm not always quick to say start new party unless we know that this party is going to be sufficient power to challenge power, because power only respects power. You can't say you want to challenge power and you're not coming with anything to challenge power, right? So it's not about a youth party, no. The newer parties in 2019 gave young people free tickets. In fact, they had parties that had over 50% youth candidates. But post-elections, what did our analysis show? We had about 103 under 35-year-olds who won their elections. We have 20 under 30-year-olds who won the elections and the state assemblies. But these numbers were basically from the APC and PDP. Only ADC had one party, Zenith Labour Party had one. But these young people that won in these new parties told us that what they had to do was they've been building social capital for so long that they were popular beyond the party. So people were voting them because they knew them. So now the power question is, as we move towards the next elections, yes, protest, be angry, but we need to ask ourselves, how do we challenge the status quo? Where do we pitch our tent? And who do we organize around? What issues do we organize around? Not just for presidency, legislative elections, states. Because executive is not just the only office people contest for. And in a democracy, if we do not have a functional, independent legislative arm of government, we could not have democracy because they cannot checkmate the executive. So we need to get younger people. We need to get people with capacity in the legislative house, state assembly, national assembly. That is where we need to be. Let us start challenging the executive and curtailing their powers.
You see, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, it's allowed. I did say it's an all-inclusive conversation, and Cynthia has just reminded us of the whole essence why we're here, Democracy Day, and we must go back to grassroots, and we must go back to the people, and she said some key things here, which many people forget, that there are other offices. You must start. For you to get the experience as highlighted by Hamzi, you may even start as a counselor. Build and grow, get the experience. But she said something very key, giving us an example of what has happened in other climes. It's not spontaneous. It can't be a flash in the pan. It must be something that has been on and you sustain it for some time to the extent that when it finally comes on, the victory will be sweet. Thank you very much. I will want Ajia to come in here. Ajia, you've heard Cynthia, and I saw you nodding your head. So my question would be you to react to some of the key things Cynthia said and you put in your views so that we can move.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. Cynthia raised some fundamental issues, which is young people in Nigeria, they need to convert anger into action. For me, some people talked about NSAS and they kind of disparage them. I don't belong to that category. Because democracy is a process. What they did with NSAS showed us the potential of what young people are able to do in this country. So what you all need to do now is to let us partner together. Those of us in the middle age, people that are a little older, like Mr. MKO Abiola and the rest, let us come together and take back our country. Now, speaking of young people contesting for election, there's nothing wrong with that. However, what I notice in Nigeria is that young people just want to contest for election because they want to. There has to be something, a force driving you. If I ask you, like Hamza now, if I ask him, he wants to contest for election, why? What is your vision? So the question is not about you contesting for election. The question is, why are you contesting for election? And so that we don't get into ageism around here, it doesn't even matter if somebody is 75 years old, if you have a solid reason why you are contesting for that election. Because ultimately, what matters is when somebody is in office, how is my life better because of it? Whether I'm in government or out of it. And that is the fundamental question that we face in this country. Are our lives better because we're in a democracy? That is a question that we have to be asking. Another thing that I would like to touch on is the issue of character and the value system. If we desire to live in a Nigeria that is free, that is secure, that is prosperous, we need to take a look at the kind of people putting themselves up for elections. Then I'll circle back a little bit and say that it's not just the issue about money, though. The issue is how upset are we about taking our country back? I like to disagree a little bit with Cynthia's final submission when she said, we can work around getting people into the state legislatures and the National Assembly. I agree with that to an extent. But in all of our three major ethnic groups, and I believe it will be in the other ethnic groups as well, the fish doesn't rot, but from the head. In this country, you cannot reform anything from the state or the National Assembly. We need in 2020, I'm going to be very specific. Because to me, hypocrisy is not, there's no room for hypocrisy here. In 2023, in particular, we need to organize ourselves. The nature of our elections is that they start with the presidency. So what we need to do is we need to get the right person first into the presidential office and then get everybody else in like manner. There are two countries that have done that. So ours is not going to be novel, like a new thing. France did it, and El Salvador has done it. When Macron came, he was the first guy to get elected. And he got his people elected so that he can get his agenda done. A young man, Nayib Bukele in El Salvador, somebody that's he got elected at 37. Nayib changed the whole scenario using incidentally technology. He got elected first, and he just got all of his assembly, in office. The whole thing is, if you're running for office in Nigeria, I'm begging you, whether you're young or you're old or whatever, the main thing is, do you care about the Nigerian people? Are you going there to work for the Nigerian people? So in 2023, what we need to do is we need to organize ourselves because the first election is a domino. When you win the presidential, then it gets like a domino effect, then you start winning the rest. Good. Because it's important, it's important to point this out. If we focus our energy in the wrong spot, then we're not going to be able to get where we are going. We need to focus on identifying the person, not people, the person that has the right quality to run for presidency, and then it is from there that we now get the rest. Okay, because that's the first election. That's the one that counts the most.
Let me come in here, Ajay. Sorry, we're trying to actually see how much we can take. Listening to Ajay Hamzi, it reminds me of what exactly we're trying to solve. Looking at that everything must start from the center, which is from the top, which, if you go back to what you said, it doesn't look like it is democracy for a system of presidential system. It doesn't look democratic, that everything must come from the top. And that is why some people are still saying we must start looking at our constitution and making it look like even the states can actually have powers to do what they needed to do. A case in point, it was amazing that the Nigeria Labour Congress, at a point, thought that the whole issue of judicial autonomy was a case that has to do with the center, that they were not smarting to go on strike and all that. It took people for almost about 2 weeks before they said, wait a minute, those kicking against are actually the state governors. This is not about the center, or as we will say out there, this is not about Buhari. This is about the governors. So it comes again to the issue of education, about our governance, about our democratic system. A lot of people still don't understand how it operates. Tell us how we can get ourselves out of all of this. You've already talked about some of those key things about money. Cynthia has already highlighted some of the things. Ajay and Cynthia, they have told us the way to go. I want you to now help us by bringing some solutions to some of the key things so that we can just take about a lot of questions there, but we'll just take about 3 questions and so that we can wrap up.
I think I would answer by sharing a bit of our struggle with the not too young to run and taking it from where Cynthia said power negotiates
by all means.
So how did we get a law in Nigeria with all the bottlenecks? By the way, it took us close to a decade, because a lot of people thought it only took us 2 years. No, it took us close to a decade to get it. The first time we approached the National Assembly, they laughed at us, and they said, we're children, we should go and sit down, we should wait for our time. I remember, and I'm still small, but imagine how I was 9 years ago when we approached the National Assembly during the constitutional amendment process. What did we do? We started building alliance. So we're traveling to various states. We're mobilizing and organizing. When we go for outreach and advocacy, we meet with young people, and we started selling their ideas. Then 2.5 years campaign was launched. First, we started with the grassroots. We did a national day of action where in Borno State, we had over 9,000 people on the streets. That's a state where you had back-to-back insurgency. But 9,000 young people came out and marched to their state assembly and submitted a letter to the speaker. In Abuja here, we mobilized over 10,000 people. We had students, over 2,000 of them from University of Abuja. We were the first group that gave Mr. President an ultimatum, and we started doing countdown. We were invited to the villa, first for a conversation with the vice president, and they were asking, what exactly do you want? We said we needed the president to sign. But before it got to the president, first it moved from the National Assembly to the State Assembly. We only needed 24 State Assembly, that's two-third majority, but we got 31. 33, we got 33. How? Using local structures and the grassroots. When people from communities were calling their state assembly members saying, we will not vote for you if you don't pass the Not Too Young to Run bill. When we were translating this information into local languages, and they were seeing this as part of their own. So again, democracy, and what we did was inclusion. We made people felt like this bill is either we get this bill or young people who can never participate in democracy. Selling that message of hope that it could be done. Mr. President did not sign because he loved young people. No. Read his speech. Go back, student of history. Read his speech. He said, you should wait till 2023. That means he was scared. He was scared that who are these young people that have organized themselves and gave me an ultimatum? He didn't want to sign, if you read his body language. But he signed it. And then he said, because he loved young people. No politician loves young people. So don't get it twisted. When we start, and Cynthia have said it, every politician looks at the next election. But as a leader, you need to look at the next generation. In 2019, it would have been very easy for me to come to the National Assembly. We had people reached out, say, Hamza, come and run, I'll bankroll you. But for me, I do things that makes me happy. If I go to the National Assembly, I won't be happy. And I want to go in my own time and in my own way. And I believe we need to understand that if you want to run or you want to occupy office, why? Do you want to serve yourself or you want to serve the people? And then how? Because if you can sell this vision, yes, money plays a critical role, but if you can sell it. The reason why we're here today is because of his father. But all he had was an idea, and he believed in it. And that's why we can enjoy June 12th as a democracy day. And mind you, power is not transferred. Nobody will give you power. Your father lost his life because of what he believed in. That is what power can do to you. Because the system don't want new ideas. The system is very okay. Why? Because people are enjoying the system. So you want to change it, you must also bring power. Because it's not a transaction of, okay, you be my party. No, this is power. This is about a governor alone. Do you know how much a governor controls every month, let alone in 4 years? So this is about resource control and resource mobilization. So my people, yes, we're going into 2023. You have, your idea is let's get the presidency. If you allow me, I would say let's take over the National Assembly and the State Assembly. If we can checkmate the presidency, because see, constitutional review starts from the National Assembly. It is the constituents that decide what changed in the Constitution. So it means that the power belongs to the people. If we're able to checkmate and again, my brother, we can actually come together and take over everything. Let's take over the National Assembly, take over the presidency and the state executive. It is very possible. It is very possible. I tell people, when you meet a politician, if I meet a politician, you never see me take a selfie or a picture with him. Why? That's a waste of time. Young people, get it right. Don't take pictures. Ask question. See, I tell people, you say you want to sit on the table. Me, I bring my table and my chair because I bring value. I don't come and then I start begging you for money. No. What is that idea you have? When I engage you, I leave a mark. Because I don't want you to forget Hamza Lawal. Because tomorrow I might come for your votes. And that's all we need. So as young people, when you see a young person who you think abides by that thing you believe in, Don't just take selfie. If it's 10 naira you have, give him. But don't just give him 10 naira. Ask him, how did you use my 10 naira? Because if you can do that and ask questions, because democracy is about asking questions. Really, it's just about asking questions. Being able to speak and get answer. That's democracy. And if you can ask the right question, we'll see the change. And we'll bring about the change, taking over Nigeria. Because really, we need to take back our country.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I see that a lot of the questions that we have here, I think it looks like we've been sketching around some of them. We've touched, rather, I wanted to say we've touched most of them. So let's quickly go to Andrew and wrap up. Andrew, I hope you're still there. I understand that Sandra has dropped off. And if Andrew, you're still there, quickly, let's close with you so that we can come back here and wrap up this conversation. Andrew, you've listened to everybody, and it has to do with the key things that Nigerians should do to strengthen democracy. Good thing, Andrew is still there. And I said I was coming back to you, and I wanted you to tell us some of those key mistakes that young people made concerning that movement you talked about, and how that can be channeled into a democracy. Keep in mind that we are, as Hamzat said, autocratic democracy, whatever, but you must always add democracy to it. So how can we, sever the autocracy out of democracy is the question we're asking, so that people cannot now be saying they want to remove a governor, a president, a representative through undemocratic means. Because if you also look at the Constitution, there are means whereby you can recall some people and also tell people, bye-bye, we don't need you. So Andrew, if we can do this quickly in a minute, I'll be happy, because we're out of time here. Thank you.
Sure. So let me start with quickly the mistakes that NSAS made. The only mistake the NSAS protesters made was not to be born bulletproof. Because when we say that NSAS failed because they made mistakes or they did things wrong, we're changing history a little bit. The movement ended because police and soldiers paid by our taxes or paid by the oil from my Niger Delta decided to turn their guns on Nigerians, shot them, and they left the streets after they watched their compatriots fall, bleed, and die. So unless they were bulletproof, I don't see what they could have done differently. But yet today, we see those same protesters and the people that they've inspired coming back on the streets today to protest and to talk about democracy on Democracy Day. Like, that's the coconut head generation right there. So did NSAS really fail? No. The government failed NSAS. The army failed NSAS. The police failed NSAS. So let's put the blame where it belongs, right? And when we talk about them and say, oh, they got stuff wrong, they could have done things differently, the question I always ask is, which generation of Nigerians before them got anything right? Like, since 1960, did the 60s generation get it right? No, they led us into a civil war. Did the 80s and 90s generation get it right? No, they left Chief MKO Abiola to die in prison. So there is no generation of Nigerians who has ever gotten it right. But to see these guys on the streets right now, they're getting it right. Yes, they're angry, but they're not just angry. So let's not say, don't just be angry, do something. They're doing something, right? They're out on the streets, they're organizing. We talk about, oh, why don't they have leaders? Look, this is the modern world. We're launching an app here today. The idea that protests need leaders is an idea from the 20th century. Look at Chile. Chile, they have, just like NSAS, a leaderless protest. They just got their constitution amended without having any leaders for their street protests. Look at Black Lives Matter that Cynthia mentioned. Who are the leaders? Look, this is the modern social media platforms, WhatsApp group. Young people are organizing without having an elected or appointed leader. They sit down, they hold their small meetings, they agree, they go out and they execute, they come back and they get the feedback and they go. I'm even happy that Nigerians believe NSAS has failed. I'm happy Nigerians believe NSAS has failed because it's going to make them underestimate what young people are doing between now and 2023. And then we're going to get to the polls at 2023 and a lot of people are going to be shocked. And they're going to say, is it not these Twitter people? I thought people were saying that they are not even serious, that they are not talking in the air, they are angry. People are about to be shocked by what young people are planning and are about to do in this country.
I think, thank you very much, Andrew. A round of applause for Andrew. And it's a fine place for us to wrap this up. And by the way, a lot of messages from a lot of people. Khalid Adekoya, and of course, some with no names, and of course, Joseph, everyone, some from Lagos, and of course, Vera from Paris. We want to say thank you so much for being with us on the show. And of course, from Seun Awogbenle, and thank you very much. He was, okay, Seun, I think some of your questions have been answered. It's about the not too young to run. No, this hasn't been answered. I'll let Sandra take on this. Seun Awogbenle is saying, my question is to Sandra, beyond the not too young to run, sorry, to Cynthia, sorry, I meant to say. He meant to write Cynthia. He said, beyond the not too young to run, is it not time to push for affirmative action, a legislation that mandates government at all levels to reflect youth involvement at a certain percentage?
Yeah, that's actually part of, there's an ongoing constitution review process. That's part of the demands. We submitted memos and we were at the state level zonal hearings. Affirmative action, not just for youth this time, for women, because the women question is very fundamental, and also for persons with disability, because we need to see inclusive government. So I really need Nigerians to engage this ongoing constitution review process, because the bills will go to the states once it's passed at a national level, and we need two-thirds majority of state assemblies to sign this. And the only way we can get them to sign in support of the proposals is if we start engaging our lawmakers at the state level, even now, before the bills get to that level.
Well, thank you very much, Cynthia. And the wrap of this conversation, we've all agreed that representative democracy is very important. And in all of this conversation, if you all notice something, what is dividing us didn't actually come to the fore. So that is not part of our democracy, and that is ethnic politics. And the conversation, as highlighted by everyone here, is that we must look at the character of the persons we are electing. We're not looking at, they didn't talk about religion here. They didn't talk about your tribe. They didn't talk about your region, but they're saying character. And whether we like it or not, I will not fail to talk about character of Chief MKO Abiola, GCFR, and his candidate, because I spoke with someone, because we've been having this long conversation coming, looking at Democracy Day, and for someone, a legal practitioner, George A.K., he said at that time he was a young Nigerian, he was on the other side. But as much as they tried to heap, stones and, tarnish the image of this, because in politics, almost everything works, they saw that MKO Abiola soared. And you go back to what Cynthia said, to make a movement is not, a day's thing. It's something that you start and you build on it. And if you go back in time, for those who have read history, you see that Chief MKO Abiola, even before he started getting into politics, he's been building bridges, he's been reaching out to people in the world of sports, in the world of technology, in the world of manufacturing business, and he reached out to quite a lot of people and even had scholarships for people. And then he never saw that he was going to become a president or run for president. Did I say become? Yes, he was president, and that is why he has the GCFR. Can we give him a round of applause? So, he was elected president, and that is the whole meat and the whole essence why we're here. So the conversation here is that Nigeria will start asking questions, as Hamza said. People cannot be your representatives. You can't be asking them questions. They can't live away from you. If your your representative does not live within your constituency, then you should be asking them questions. Because it is only when they don't live in your area, you'll be telling them about the bad roads. They should be the one reminding you, I know that this road is bad, I'm coming. Not you telling them that this X, Y, and I want you to push. So I'm happy that the conversation has centered around what this is about, and I'm happy that we have said that we are in the process of strengthening our democracy. And I'm even more happy to know that Cynthia and Hamzi, they're working on something fantastic, which Ajia also has also bought into. We're hoping that this principle of inclusion is something we all will start working on. And that is why Andrew said something, the coconut head people, they are also included. No one is excluded in this whole move. Irrespective of your thinking, your ideology, everyone is welcomed. And that is why we're saying this conversation will continue on the app. And that is the Tribe Niger. If you haven't actually downloaded that, you have to download it. It's on both, platforms, on Android and iOS. You get it there and let the conversation continue. See how you can build bridges. See how you can interact from among yourselves. And it's an app that will always, be there for you, especially in terms of knowledge, educating you about our politics and our polity, and also, as Khalid said, there's also a fun part of it. So at this point in time, I'd like to thank our panelists for being such a nice company. Thank you for contributing. Dr. Abdul Mumin Yinka Ajia, many thanks for your time. And of course, thank you very much, Cynthia Mbamalu. Many thanks. And we'll also say thanks to Hamzat Lawal. Hamzat likes to be called Hamzi, so wherever you see him, just say Hamzi, so he'll know that you're part of this whole move. And of course, virtually, we'd like to thank you, Andrew. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your insights, Andrew Oboforibo, for your time. Dr. Hidayat Hassan, we're hoping that as we build our country, as we move forward, such technological glitches will be a thing of the past. Too bad we just couldn't get too much from you because of the glitch that we had connecting to you, Dr. Hidayat Hassan. Also, Sandra Ezekwesili, many thanks for all the beautiful things you're doing. We're proud of you. I'm more proud to know that you and I belong to the same profession. Thank you. Keep the fire burning, Sandra Ezekwesili. And to everyone watching us from across the world, we want to say thank you. And to our University of Abuja students, a round of applause. And to everyone here, we want to say thank you for your time. And this will not end. We want the conversation to continue, as we rightly said. We have an app. Quickly, let me call on Larry to come right here. And of course, we'll also call on the caller to come join us, have a photo session with our panelists before we wrap up the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And since Kola is right here, I think it's about time he gave the vote of thanks. No, the photo session will continue, but I just wanted you guys to excuse Kola to quickly do the vote of thanks, and we'll continue with the photo ops. Thank you. They want me to join them.
Ain't no place be like home. Beautiful people celebrating now. Beautiful culture. I'm on the job. Even when you fall, I will stand for you. Sometimes you may break my heart. I still love you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You guys stay on board here. Okay, we should stay here. You guys stay here. So, okay, good. Right. I am a very excited man at this point. Maybe I should have that. Yeah, good. Everybody here present today, everyone online, my incredible panelists today, Dr. Ajia Hamzi, did I get that right? Cynthia, Sandra, online, and Andy, he's a fantastic guy also. Dr. Idayat, my core here on stage, we just had that picture. I think what I'm trying to achieve has started. We're a group that needs to think outside of the box. You guys have knocked on a lot of doors. This is the time to begin to nail the coffin of the past. When I say we have to think out of the box, we are still thinking along the same political process we have inherited since independence. What we have inherited is a system that kicks up two candidates, not of our choice. Then we get to pick the worst, the best of the worst. What I'm hoping we will do with this platform is to mobilize enough of us to disrupt the process. It's all about disrupting the process. Now, what do I mean? When you disrupt something, you're at the age of disruption. We have to put that to use for the better of this country. Now, you told me what, 51%? Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine what bringing 51% together on one platform can do? That is... Come on, guys. That's how we would begin to disrupt this process. By having those numbers, you begin to drop, reduce, eliminate the entry level, and you drop the cost of doing business in politics. It's the only way you can take it out. And you can be sure with a platform like this, you guys would have your troops from day one because it's going to be so transparent. Now, can you imagine having 51% of the voting public on a platform, right? You do everything online. You're used to being online anyway. right? You don't have to pay for a form. All you need is to use that same platform to begin to get organically grown leadership from that platform. We have the thumbs up, thumbs down. We have an algorithm in that platform that allows you to begin to identify participation, quality of content, and as we go in time, you go from just a tribe member to a bronze member, to a silver member, to a gold member, and then you become a diamond member. That's leadership right there. These are the crop of people that we need to raise now. So please, don't let's make the mistake about the system. There's no system. We have inherited a system, and it's time to make sure we turn that system on its head. That's what it's all about. Because that same system, I mean, if you guys have the data better than I do. How many, what's the median age in your state house of assemblies? 32? What numbers I have? Yeah. No, state. State, okay, good. Your federal house, reps. Thank you, thank you. And then in the Senate. Okay, and then your governors. Your youngest governor is 46 or so. Uh-huh. So these are us. These numbers are all us. But has it made a difference or made an impact? No, because they come up of a system that just throws up what they want us to have. And we have to pick from what they bring up to vote for. We will change that on this platform. We will change that. Okay? We will change that. Because our numbers will count and we'll have a say. You will know exactly the number of members you have on a ward, local government, and state basis off this platform. That is the strength you need to change the system. I am committed to making sure that happens. I'm going to turn this political system on its head. The biggest fraud in this system is delegate elections. It's the biggest fraud. Because if 4 of us are running for office, the delegates collect from all 4 of us. And my brother here will tell them where to go and vote eventually. Okay? And not just that, if I'm able to defeat their candidate, in many a times I'm called in for a discussion to step down. We will settle you somehow and let this thing continue. But when you have your own troops, you were not elected by his own troops. You have your own troops, and those troops have nominated you off a platform. Can you see the difference this will make? So don't continue to rely on that system. We need to create a system that gives you a direct say and makes a difference. And you will know exactly where your numbers are. The general will always tell me, General Shehu Yaradua, may God bless his soul. You must know what you have. In any elections we have, he will tell you I have 10 here, but you can be sure those 10 are there. There are a lot more, but at least he will not go lower than 10. And one thing he always tells me is that the only authority you have to challenge governance is a party. Any other thing we do otherwise in the streets is illegal. The only authority you have to challenge a political party or a government is a party. And party comes from numbers. Let us speak to each other, irrespective of our religion. Let us speak to each other, irrespective of our backgrounds. I went to a school where my gate man's son was in my class. I don't forget where I come from. I don't. And for me, what I see today is appalling. I did my service corps in Zaria. I can't even afford to send my kids outside of Lagos for service corps. What has gone so wrong in such short a time? That is why we need to take it back. I want us all to get on this platform talk about it, let it out, okay? Understand our differences. But remember, we're still Nigerian, irrespective of what we do. And we're feeling otherwise because we feel we have lost it or there isn't a solution to it. I'm hoping with this I'm providing that solution. So please, continue what you do, but do it differently. Think out of the box. I hope with this, there's an opportunity to do that. There's an opportunity to get your people galvanized. I'm not looking for anything from this, but to see this thing change. And change for the better. I want that bridge outside to be completed. I need it to be completed. So at least my own children, our own children, at least will have something to do and look forward in this country. We talk about Twitter here. Can you imagine Nigeria, it's this size today, doesn't have any homegrown social media? With the intellect we have domestically and in the diaspora. Come on. Every country has a mirror of its own. So there's it's really an issue of national security for a country. It's not just a plaything. It's not just a social thing. It's a national security issue. These things. So let us begin to think like that. Think outside of that box, and it'll make the difference we need. Once again, thank you so much. I think we've started this process. The competition has started. Let's see to the very end. We will not be deprived again, period. And that's what we should make sure we do. Like we say in our YouTube things, if you like it, give it a thumbs up, but make sure you get on the app. Thank you.
Quickly, sorry, apologies. I think the press, they need some photo sessions in this order. Caller and the panelist alone. Yes, please. And looks like Caller has given me his glasses. So the panelists, can we come photo ops with Caller? Yes. Have they done that? With just the panelists? No, I think the organizers, they want it again. So that's why. Sorry, apologies, guys. So let's quickly do that. So that's the first one with Caller and us. I think the next one will be Caller, LA, and INI. While Caller is still here, and we call on LA INI. Thank you very much. And I think to close this, we'll call on Ini. Ini, I think it's your turn to give us. No, that was a final remark from him. We'll put you on. Thank you. You need this?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Democracy Day 2021. I think we still have a full room, so the first applause really should be to everyone who's still seated right here. So please, no, you can do better than that. I know that we all have our reservations of whether or not we're celebrating, but I remember during one of the team sessions, and somebody was saying something about what's really worth celebrating. And I think a caller said, we're not necessarily celebrating, but we're launching democracy. And that has been resonating in my mind since, because what does it really mean to launch democracy? You would think that we have been practicing democracy for a while, but if this is launching democracy, then it really means that we're birthing an era where free expression, free thought, free citizenship really counts. And even in planning all of this, we've seen that being demonstrated extensively, and he's given that a leadership by example, and we really acknowledge and celebrate and appreciate that. But before I break down the vote of thanks, I think the first thanks really should go to the one man who has made this day possible. I think of all the days and dates in the calendar that we have in Nigeria, not even 1st October really commands the kind of attention and conversation, national conversation, that June 12 commands in Nigeria. So I would like us to give one unreserved applause to His Excellency Bashirun MKO Abiola, GCFR. I think it's very instructive that if things had gone as he otherwise hoped when he ran for that election, we may not have needed to gather here today. But giving us the day, June 12, which has now been pronounced as Democracy Day in Nigeria, is his gift to Nigeria to continue to question the ethos of our national life, the ethos of what it means to truly be Nigeria. And we acknowledge and really appreciate him in blessed memory for that. Thank you to our panelists. You've been dropping gems. I was actually taking notes because I do take a lot of notes when I'm listening. And some of the things that I noted where I just noted like gems that you were dropping. And I heard a lot of skills. I heard somebody talk about generational equity. I heard somebody mention values, role models, experience, checks and balances, inclusion, transitioning from democracy to governance. I heard something about, I think Cynthia mentioned power negotiates. And, those were waking up all kinds of thoughts in my head. Hamzi said every politician looks at the next election, but as a leader, you have to look at the next generation. I think Tribe Niger really represents that futuristic thought, that futuristic attention to the life that will be beyond the one that we have here presently. And somebody was saying, Ini, Tribe Niger, is it that you people put this all together because they banned Twitter in Nigeria? And I said, no, it's a function of leadership. Leadership doesn't think for now. Leadership thinks about tomorrow. Leadership thinks for tomorrow. And that is what we have seen in the birthing of Tribe Niger and the launch of the app that we have now. I like to tell people Tribe Niger app is my new playground. Why? It's all about expression. It's about your owning your narrative. It's about coming just as you are. The beauty of this community is that we don't have a VIP list. So when I was told, you're going to do vote of thanks, I was like, oh yeah. I didn't crack my head around it. Why? We don't have a VIP excellency up and down to thank. Everybody brings value to the table, not just here in Yaradua Center, but within the community. And that is what being Nigerian is all about. 200 million plus people means more than just figureheads. It means value, it means skills, it means diversity. It means, knowledge, wisdom, generational equity, like someone has mentioned here today. And all of that has to count for something. So for all the thought, all the planning, all the resources that have gone into birthing this community, we'd like to really appreciate everyone. But thank you first to the big brother of Tribe Niger, MKO Abiola, for the leadership that you have demonstrated throughout this process. And if you're just meeting him for the first time, he is no different from what you have seen today. He is that sort of person. He's not a different person today in public and a different person in private. Everybody is somebody to him, and he treats all equally. So it's something that we deeply appreciate. If you ask him for clearance on, okay, what do we need to do with this? Says, what do you think? And if it becomes a popular agreement amongst the team, that flies. That is leadership, and that is the sort of emotion and contribution and value that we cherish. And we hope that truly the birthing of this platform, this community, will give us that much needed space to continue to add value to the national discourse that is Nigeria. So for all Tribians, I was thinking what would be, like we have Nigerian and we have African. So I was like, if you were to say you are in Tribe Niger, what would it be? So I said, oh, Tribians. So to all Tribians, welcome to Tribe Niger. And let us have fun. Let us make this work. Let us take back the national life that we have known it to be for ourselves and for the generations to come. Thank you very much. Thank you to Suleiman, our moderator for the day, for doing a fantastic work. I loved your orange socks, by the way. It made you think of the kind of conversation you would have in your grandmother's backyard, and he's just there. We could have been listening to his voice all day. I was like, somebody should have just brought some mats so we can stretch out properly and listen to him. But thank you very much for doing such a fantastic job. Thank you, everyone. You've been patient enough for us, but spread this message far and wide. And thank you for the beautiful track that is the Tribe Niger Act, because I don't know of anything that beats the MKO jingle that we used to. Everybody, if you hear it now, you still jump up and dance to it. But I think this is something that gives us a next step of dance. So thank you very much for that. I'm going to enjoy listening to that going forward. Thank you, and thank you again.
Thank you very much, Ini. And this is where we say thank you for all you've done, and the conversation continues. Keep in mind, time for us to start doing something. And how do we do that? Time for us to start lifting our fingers and not pointing our fingers. Thank you. God bless you. Bye-bye.
I remember when I was a little boy. Mama tell me, say no place be like home. Beautiful people celebrating now. Beautiful culture. I'm on a